Hello everybody. Very excited to be having the opportunity to practice with everybody in some format again. I'm going to be doing one of my favorite practices today, but before we begin the practice, just wanted to go over a couple of things with you. If you have props at home, yay, you can certainly use those. But if you don't have props at home, your practice is completely still available to you. Whether you're doing a traditional floor practice or maybe you want to try today's practice from a chair, any of those options are always available. If you have a mat, you can put it out. If you don't have a mat, the floor works just as well. I really wasn't sure which one I was going to go with personally today, but went ahead and put the mat out. For other propping, of course, a blanket is always good. This happens to be a yoga blanket that I have here at the house, but you can use any cotton blanket. I find the cotton ones a little better because they don't slide so much. If you have something that's a little more slippery fabric, it might, move around a little more on you. But you can certainly use a towel or any other similar kind of blanket fabric for yourself if you need to pad for your knees or support your head or anything during the practice. I have a bolster here today, but a couch cushion works just as well. I do have blocks here, obviously, but you can also use all kinds of other things, a small stool or a footrest, anything like that can work as well for your practice. Or you can go sans props, no props at all, and that's perfectly fine. You'll still be able to do your version of the practice throughout. Sometimes a couple of books stacked up can substitute for a block, or if you're looking for something a little more sturdy, I've seen people use like a laundry detergent bottle or box placed at one end if you're looking for that as a hand support or something like that. But there's all kinds of choices, and also just as far as the space that you're working in, I've got what I could of a space set up here today, but it's definitely not easy for me to create a space to film. Because I need to clear away as much as possible so that I can get the camera as far away as possible to be filming. And I apologize if I come out of frame. I'm trying to do this first one just kind of unrehearsed, just do it and see how it goes. But for yourself with your practice, try not to get caught up too much in what the space is. I have certainly done my practice in the hallway, upstairs at times. I've practiced a lot during the warmer months on my front porch. That's my favorite place to practice. If you have any little space, there's a space in my dining room. It really wouldn't have worked for camera because I can't get the camera far away enough. But don't feel like you've got to have some sort of special space to practice in. If you can get a little clearing, it can be really small. I practice in my bedroom at the foot of the bed, and that is even smaller than my hallway. So, just try and allow yourself to set up in any space that you have available as you're setting up for today. I am going to be doing one of my favorite practices today, and we'll get into that in a second. I just wanted to share with you before we get started how much I miss you all, how really special it is for me to do this part right now. I didn't realize I've been doing some home practices with studios that I attend regularly that had online services, and I really enjoyed that. But I didn't realize how much I missed all the intricate steps of practicing with you guys. Like, I knew I missed you guys, but when I sat down to write down a class about a week and a half ago, I remembered, because that was the first time in about 6 weeks that I've done a class, I remembered how that process feels for me, that I get to As I'm writing my class, I often am thinking of different individuals that come in for the classes regularly, and who will, want this and who will get something out of that, and what I can share with each of you at a different time. And I realized how special even that process is, and that it makes me feel really connected to you guys. So I'm very excited to be sharing a practice with you today, because when I go through the process of creating a class, I really have you guys in my heart and mind, and that was a sensation that I hadn't experienced for so many weeks, and to be able to do that again was really powerful for me. So this is a really simple session that we're doing. It's not going to be a very long class that I'm doing tonight, but I hope that I can get it uploaded and that you guys can maybe get this practice in tonight or tomorrow, because it would be ideal tonight or tomorrow. We're going to be doing Moon Salutations, which of course I love dearly, and we have that beautiful full moon coming to us tonight, last supermoon of the year. So I hope that we can kind of use that reflective and receptive energy to take stock of where we're at right now, and to let that light guide us as we move forward in the darkness right now. We're all not sure where we're headed to exactly. So kind of opening ourselves up to that energy of, let me take everything in, let me evaluate, and let me be open to what the path is leading me to. Okay, so with that said, let's come down onto our backs, on your mat, on a blanket, wherever you're comfortable. Go ahead and rest down now. And you can place a blanket under the head or under your knees, and just come down onto the floor. And as I said, I kind of am letting this class just happen how it does, so I'm hoping that I'm in the screen right now. I don't have a videographer to keep me on top of that, but we're hoping that it's showing up, and that I can share this with you, and that it will all make sense and be a nice simple practice for you. So go ahead and rest down onto your floor, your mat, your blanket. Take the time. You can take your feet onto the floor, take the feet a little wider than the hips, and let the knees drop in towards one another. Take that first few moments to tuck the shoulders, kind of tilt the hips forward and back, so you can find that soft middle space where you feel the triangle of the sacrum really resting down on the floor. You let your shoulders be heavy. Let your ribs sink down into the mat. And normally we take our palms up, but before we go into that opening and receiving energy, go ahead and turn the palms down. Feel the fingertips and the palms on the floor. Maybe wiggle the toes, lift the heels, get the sensation of the floor under your feet. Maybe softly rock the head side to side. Feel the neck lifted from the floor, that little bit of space at the cervical curve. And the pressure, the soft pressure, not pushing down, but that soft pressure as the back of the head meets the floor. And just start to let everything make those little contacts to the ground, sinking into this space. And starting to connect to your breath here. And allowing the breath to be what it will in these first few moments. Maybe giving a little gripping to the hands, a little gripping to the feet. Really feel that nice solid connection. And then you can softly turn the palms up. Let the fingers curl naturally and let the body sink down towards the floor. Each exhale letting you drop in a little heavier. Each inhale, just softly opening the body. The breath moving in through the mouth and the nose. The cooling to the back of the throat. Starting to feel as the breath draws down into the chest and opens up into the side body and the belly. And maybe if it's a part of your practice, you want to give that little bit of light engagement to the back of the throat so that you can hear that ocean-like quality of the inhales and the exhales. And just allowing that breath to move gently in and out, bringing that cool, light energy in with each inhale, and allowing yourself to sink heavier with each exhale. So while the light and coolness of your inhale is opening all the little spaces, you're still staying nice and grounded, firmly attached and supported, but you're feeling filled and soft. Allow that light energy to creep in through the shoulder harness into the hips, taking that energy out through the arms and legs, feeling as though there is light even coming into the palms and the soles of the feet. Maybe that energy is extending out through the fingertips and the toes. Coming to take another 3 or 4 breath rounds here, allowing the breath to illuminate you from the crown, the third eye, down through the throat, the heart center, through the belly and the hips, and extending out the limbs into the soles and the palms. Feel light and open and fully receptive to all the energies that are coming through, allowing energy to move through you and beyond. Coming to take your final breath round here. And then as you're ready, start to draw one knee and then the other up towards the chest. And we're just going to get a little bit of motion going. So starting with some small circles here, continuing to keep focus and keep attention with your breath. Feeling that light and opening energy moving in.
and allowing the exhales to keep you firmly grounded, fully supported. And we're going to stop and just gently take the knees in the other direction. And these circles don't need to be big. You can use the hands to guide the knees. And I apologize, apparently my neighbors are doing some construction. So it's a good reminder that even in our homes or in this virtual setting, there are easily things to come up and pull us away from our practice. But we don't need to feel that that is a disruption. That's just life continuing to happen. We're staying right here with ourselves. And just slowing down and coming back to center. We'll go ahead and take both hands over to the right knee or shin, wherever's comfortable for you. And allow that left foot to come down onto the floor, or it can extend long along the mat. If you're extending that leg long, you go ahead and take the toes up towards the ceiling. Both feet can come into that nice flex. On your exhale, again, softening and letting that knee kind of drop a little closer to the body. On your next inhale, you'll draw that left knee up to meet the right, and we're just going to take the hands over to that left knee or shin or in behind the thigh. Again, the right foot can come down onto the mat, or you can extend that right leg long, flexing through the heels, feeling the air between the toes, and allowing yourself to just settle into this space. Soften where you're feeling resistant. Soften any place that's holding back. And maybe you feel that knee drop a little closer to the body. Letting that hip flexor loosen up. On the next inhale, we're going to draw that right knee up to meet the left. Come to take the hands onto the knees, the shins, or even the thighs. And we're just going to simply drop the knees a little wider. Not going real wide. Heels are staying flexed towards the opposite end of your mat, the lower end of your mat. So we're not raising the heels up like a happy baby just yet. We're just letting those knees drop out. See if you can let your shoulders drop back onto the mat. And let those hip flexors relax a little wider. Inhaling will bring the knees back to center. We're going to let both feet come down to the mat and take the legs nice and long. And we're just going to move into some simple stretches here. So we'll take the hands out wide to a T. Go ahead, tuck those shoulders under, and then take the feet nice and wide as well. Ankles rolling out so the toes are pointing out to either side instead of dipping inward. We want to let that nice open hip happen here. So if you find that you've gone out really far with the legs and the toes are starting to turn inward, bring the heels a little closer together and let those toes turn out. So this is our 5-pointed star resting on the floor here. We're going to be visiting this posture as we come through our flow. And just allow yourself to feel the stretch here. So maybe pressing into the balls of the feet, maybe opening the palms of the hand a little wider and spreading the fingertips out nice and wide. I even felt my elbows lift off the floor as I pressed my shoulder blades back and down. You got a nice big stretch here. One more inhale. And then exhale. We're going to go ahead, bring the feet back together. Bring the hands together at heart center. We're going to interlace the fingers except for the pointer finger and the thumb. They're going to go straight up towards the ceiling, and you can feel your shoulder blades starting to stretch around, moving apart from one another. Nice big stretch for the back of the body here. And then inhale, we're going to bring the hands down to heart center. We're going to hold that same mudra, the fingers interlaced, pointer finger extended towards the ceiling. We're going to go ahead and draw the feet onto the mat. So the knees are bent and pointed towards the ceiling. And the feet are a little bit closer together than we had them at the start of our practice. We're going to go ahead, extend the right leg long. We'll inhale, take the right toes towards the ceiling, fingers towards the ceiling. You can press through the ball of the foot and feel the length of the thigh, the length of the calf, pressing energy up towards the ceiling. On the exhale, hands are coming back to heart center and we're slowly lowering that down. Lots of control. Make sure the belly isn't lifting as we come all the way down. Inhale, place that right foot on the floor. Exhale, extend that left leg. We're going to inhale, take the left toes up towards the ceiling, fingers up towards the ceiling. Pressing through the ball of the foot, feel the length of the leg. Exhale, nice and long as you lower that left leg all the way down. Make sure the belly doesn't lift to make that action happen. And then we'll inhale, bring the foot back to center. We're going to take it to the other side. So inhale, lengthen that right leg. Exhale here. Inhale, ball of the foot rising. And the leg doesn't need to be perfectly straight. It can have a soft bend in it, but we want that energy to be sending up from the hip all the way through the ball of the foot. Fingertips rising. Feel those shoulder blades rounding out, pronating forward. Exhale. Keep that belly button down and lower all the way down. Inhale the right foot onto the mat. Exhale, left leg extends. Inhale, take it up. Exhale, bringing it down. Inhale, left foot onto the mat. Exhale, right leg long. Inhale, extending towards that moon, towards our sky. Exhale, back to the ground. Nice and slow, lots of control. Inhale the right foot onto the mat. Exhale, left leg long. Last one, inhaling up. Exhale, bringing everything back down to heart center, back down to the earth. Inhale, go ahead and take that left foot back onto the floor. We'll go ahead and take the arms nice and wide. Extend those legs a little wide, toes out. Feel that stretch. Palms open, shoulders roll back. Feel the contact points where you're touching the floor, touching your mat. Let that belly stay down. So it's going to lift a little bit when you roll your shoulders back, but you don't want to dump into the back. You want to keep that belly down and stretch out from the center all the way out. One more inhale, and then exhale, drawing everything in, coming to bring the knees to the chest, little rock side to side. And then we're going to roll over to one side, find our way up, coming to our all fours. So lining up in our all fours, we're going to make sure that that belly button is drawing towards the spine, spine towards the belly. We're going to soften the elbows. We're taking our fingers nice and wide here, really spreading out and creating a super foundation for the palms and the fingertips. Shoulders are just above the wrist. Knees are right below the hips. We're going to come through a few cat-cows just to loosen up that spine. So inhaling here at neutral, and on the exhale, drawing that navel towards the ceiling, allowing the tailbone and the crown to come down towards the floor. Inhale, soft elbows, rolls that heart forward, belly stretches as the tailbone lifts. Exhale, rounding the spine, finding that cat. Inhale, heart rolls forward, cow. And continue this practice with your breath, really synchronizing breath and movement, maybe engaging the throat for that nice ocean breath, that rhythmic cycle of breath. Take another 2 to 3 rounds. Move your body in your way. So maybe you roll up through, or maybe you barrel roll. Getting some movement in the side to side of your hips. But synchronizing your breath and your body. Finding those little intricacies of motion and movement, stretching into the spaces that need a little extra attention. And as you complete your rounds, coming to take the knees wide, toes together, drop the hips back to the heels, and coming to rest in your child's pose variation. So maybe the forehead rests down onto the floor, onto some stacked fists, onto a blanket, a block, a pillow, wherever is comfortable for you. Taking another 2 or 3 breath rounds here in this child's pose. Remembering always that the child's pose is a wonderful place to come to when you need to ground, when you need to reconnect and settle into your space, when you're feeling distracted or overwhelmed, when you just need to reconnect. And coming to your next inhale, we'll place the palms rising up, coming back to all fours. We'll go ahead and tuck the toes. On an inhale, pressing into the hands. Exhale, take the hips back. Keep those knees super soft. Arms are extending, pressing you away from the floor, lifting your tailbone towards the sky. Breathing into this first down dog. Maybe taking a moment, bending one knee and then the other. Finding that nice, soft, opening space. And again, modifying any of this practice. If you want to do your dog at the wall or at a chair, I really invite you to make this yours. You're in your space. Nobody's looking. Do what feels so good for you. And if you're in your dog and you want to inhale back to all fours or your resting posture and find that child's pose again. Really taking the time to feel yourself sinking into your supports. Maybe moving those hips a little side to side, allowing the belly to move down between the thighs, lengthening the spine as the tailbone draws towards the heels, towards the toes. On an inhale, taking the palms onto the mat and rising back into your all fours. We'll tuck the toes and exhale into your downward facing dog. And this time we're going to inhale, take that right heel up towards the ceiling. Go ahead and bend the right knee so the heel is coming towards the buttocks. And then turning that right knee out to the right side so that we're opening that left hip. So you're going to feel that pull through the left hip. Your right foot is coming over towards the left side of your body. And then inhaling back to a neutral hip. Exhale, you're going to place that right foot outside of the right hand or up that direction. Take your time. We're going to go ahead and pad up for the knees if you haven't already. And we're going to lower that back knee down to the mat. Untuck the toes. And here's where you can bring your propping in. So if you have a block or a bench, want to bring the hands onto that block or bench and allow yourself a little support to lift the heart forward away from the floor. Go ahead and let that left hip drop forward, but press into that right foot so the right hip is staying back and the hips are really coming towards neutral here. You can start to walk the hands up and find that right thigh. Again, opening the front of that left hip flexor. So we're letting that left hip drive forward, pressing into the right foot and letting that right hip pull back. You can stay here, or if it feels good for your practice and you want to inhale, take the hands up overhead, interlace those fingers except for that pointer finger and thumb. Allow the shoulders to drop onto the back body and inhale here. You can even take the gaze up towards the ceiling if it feels okay for your neck. Press into your feet a little more. Feel the grounding. Allow that to create a little space for you to pull the heart away from the floor. Exhale, bringing the hands back down onto your block or your support. Go ahead, move that block forward. Place the hands back to the mat. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, and step it back to your downward facing dog. Feel the hips lift, shoulders spreading apart, arms pressing you away from the floor, knees are soft. We're going to, excuse me, inhale. Take that left foot nice and high behind you. Toes are pointed down here. On the inhale, bending into that left knee so the heel is coming towards the left buttock. And then on your next inhale, pivoting that left knee out to the left side so the heel is coming over towards the right buttock, and you're getting that nice opening stretch through the inner right groin. We'll inhale the hips back to neutral, and on the exhale, bring that left foot outside of the left hand or up that direction. You can help move it along using your hand or wiggling your toes. And then on an exhale, we're going to take that right knee down, release the right foot, finding your blocks or your support if you want them. We're going to rise up, feel that right hip rolling forward, pressing into that left foot. Left hip is moving back. We're going to let the heart roll forward here. You can stay here, or you can bring the hands onto the thighs, onto the left thigh, excuse me. So we're keeping that neutral hip here, really feeling the opening of the front of the right hip flexor. Staying here, or we can sweep those hands up, let the shoulders come onto the back body, interlace the fingers, point your finger up towards your sky. Press into both feet. Feel really strong, super grounded. Take that heart up towards the ceiling. Only take this back to where it's comfortable. The neck shouldn't be strained or kinked. The heart should feel open and strong here. Exhale, releasing hands back down to your propping or back to the floor gradually. We'll tuck those back toes, lift that knee, step it back, downward facing dog. You can go ahead and lift the heels and then drop them slowly, keeping the knees soft. 2 more times, lift the heels and let them down. Once more and down. Inhaling, all fours, and exhaling, child's pose. When you're ready, placing the hands, inhaling up to all fours, tuck the toes, press it back, find your dog, and then walking the hands towards the feet, deep bend in the knees as you arrive at the back of your mat. Go ahead, take the hands onto the thighs, inhale, lift that heart halfway. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, heart lifts, crown towards the top of your mat, away from the feet. Exhale, forward fold. One more time. We're going to inhale, take the heart forward, take the arms out wide, press into the feet, rise all the way up, hands together overhead. And exhale, down to heart center. So we're going to come to our flow now.
And this is the Moon Salutation flow. So some of you have done this with me in class. To some of you, this may be a brand new practice. So we're going to go through the first round of our Moon Salutations, nice and slow, feeling out each posture, where it feels right for you, where you want to make your adjustments. And then second round, we'll move through a little more loosely. And the third round, I usually just like to, make it your own jam. Just move through in whatever way feels really good for you. The things that I love about this practice are its openness, its freedom, and then it brings you right back to center every time. So we're going to set up by standing long ways in our space. So unlike sun salutations that we face the front and we move front to back, in this practice we're moving side to side, and it forms that cycle rotation. So we start in the middle of our space, knowing that we're going to be moving out to side instead of forward and back. If you want any propping to reach for on your sides, you can go ahead and set that up. This is another good one, an inverted pot. I didn't really mean for those to drop out, but anything can serve as that little marker. I have a small folding bench. If you have something like this, that works really well too. Feel free to stop the video and go find what you want. If you don't have something, you can watch this over and over again. So we're going to move through this flow. We start by getting ourselves really grounded. So we're going to find our Tadasana, our mountain pose. So just take a few minutes to kind of rock on your feet, really get a good connection. It should be that you feel really grounded, like all the edges of your feet are pressing down, but not your toes. Your toes aren't gripping you here. Really get solid in your feet. Let your knees be soft and bouncy. Let your tailbone drop down. Come back to your breath. Allow the shoulders to come onto the back body so the heart is open. Palms are forward and receptive. The crown of the head is reaching towards the ceiling, but the body's still soft and pliable and really pressing into the earth. From our Tadasana, that earthy grounding connection, that gravitational pull, we're going to inhale and sweep the arms up overhead, interlacing the fingers except for that pointer finger and thumb, which are directing up towards our sky. On the exhale, we're going to take the hands over to the left. Inhaling up, exhale it to the right. Inhaling up. On your exhale, you're going to step that right foot wide, toes out, palms are going to come wide, and we're finding that 5-pointed star. So this is that same posture we were laying on the floor to start with. Palms are super wide open, really sending a lot of energy out from your star through the arms and legs and through the crown of the head. On your exhale, you're going to bend elbows and knees, drawing tailbone towards the floor. Heart is still open. This is our chalice, our goddess pose, our receptive energy. We're drawing everything in, really pressing into the floor. Feel lots of strength through the legs, through the belly, opening the heart, opening the palms as though you're holding everything up here. Then we're going to inhale, lengthen arms and legs again. We're going to pivot left toes over to the left side. Start to take the gaze towards that left hand. Let that right hip draw back as that left hand draws forward. Maybe you're finding your support, your prop. And we're going to come towards our triangle pose. So that left hip is really drawing back. Right hip is rolling around to the front. And you can take that right palm straight up towards the ceiling. Your gaze can be up towards the palm, or you can take the gaze down towards that left foot or hand. Inhaling here. On the exhale, right hand's going to come down to meet the left. Pivot the back toes in the same direction as the front toes, and we're finding our pyramid pose here. So bring your propping in as close as you need in order to allow those legs to lengthen. Both legs are coming towards straight, not locked out. And both heels are on the ground here. So if you find that back heel is doing kind of a runner's lunge kind of lift, bring it in a little closer. Let that heel drop down and let the heart roll forward. Start to feel as that left hip draws back and that right hip is competing to come forward. So it's a big stretch through the back, through the hamstrings, maybe even into the calves. On your next inhale, you're going to take those right toes back and you're actually coming to that runner's lunge, right? So if you were feeling that heel lift before and you planted it down, you can go ahead and take those toes further back and allow that back heel to lift up. I've got my big moon pants on today, so getting a little different perspective there. And then we're going to come to our side squat. So we're in a lunge here. We're going to take our support towards the front here, so it's moving to the right for you guys. And we're going to pivot the feet so that left knee is staying bent, the right leg is long, and we've got our side squat here. Now you can stay up nice and high. There's a lot of strength through the thighs. Or if you're more into that hip opening, you can drop the hips down, coming to a deeper version. But either one is the same pose. So we're going to move from here. We're raising up through our wide leg forward fold. And then we're going to take that side squat to the other side. So as high or low as you want your hips to be, it's all the same practice. Then we're going to pivot. So we're taking that runner's lunge to the other side. Now I tend to travel with my blocks, but you can certainly leave your support at one end and then use the support that you've set up at the end, at the opposite end. But I really do travel with them, even in a regular class, in a studio, whatever. And you can see that back heel is lifted. So we're in that runner's lunge. And then we're just going to step that back foot closer, allowing that heel to come down. And we're taking our pyramid on the opposite side. My throat is very dry. I haven't done this in weeks. Heart is rolled forward here. Feel that left hip rolling forward and that right hip drawing back so that you're really getting that stretch through the hams, the glutes, the quads, and even into the lower back. But it shouldn't feel pinchy. If it's pinchy, come up higher so that you're not getting that strain, but just a nice stretch. We're going to pivot the back toes towards me. So that's your left toes pointing to, left toes pointing to the left side. Yeah. And then we'll sweep that left hand up, opening the heart towards the ceiling. in our triangle pose on the opposite side. Gaze can be up or down. On an exhale, we're going to soften that right knee. You can move your block out of the way. Press into that right foot. Come up and find your 5-pointed star. Breathe here. And on an exhale, bending knees and elbows, tailbone down towards the ground. We're getting that nice pressing up through the legs in our goddess pose. On your next inhale, right foot steps to the left and hands come together overhead, interlacing those fingers. Exhale, take it to the right. Inhale it up. Exhale it to the left. Inhale up. Exhale, release the hands down. Mountain pose. So that was one slow cycle. So we moved from the left all the way down through, up and around to the right and back to center. We're going to do it again. So if you need to move your propping, your supports, whatever you're setting yourself up with, and find your way back to center. Find that mountain pose. Knees are soft. Feet are pressing in. Weight is even from heel to the balls of your feet. Allow the crown to lift, shoulders dropping back onto the back body. Palms are open. Be connected to the breath. Be connected to the earth. And be ready to reach for the sky. Inhaling, we'll take the hands up. Interlacing the fingers. Point your finger towards the ceiling. Exhale, take it over to the left. Inhaling up. Exhale to the right. Inhaling up. Exhale, step it wide and bending into elbows and knees, finding that chalice pose. Finding the breath here. Inhale, arms and legs extending out, 5-pointed star. Exhale, we're pivoting the left toes to the left, reaching out, finding that propping. You can place the hand on the propping, or you can even place that hand on the shin or thigh. Whatever allows you to move that body long to the side. So you don't want to be rounding and reaching here. You really want a nice, long, extended spine that's twisting towards the sky. If we're all arched over, it's hard to twist. We cut ourselves off. So really draw that left hip back to let the heart roll forward and up. Exhale, take the right hand down to meet the left. Pivot those back toes. Find both heels down. Both legs not blocking out, but coming towards a soft straight. Draw that left hip back, right hip rolls forward, pyramid pose. Inhale, take the left toes back, runner's lunge. And then exhale, we're pivoting towards the front of the room in our half squat. Inhaling up through center, exhaling to the other side, half squat on the right. Inhale, pivoting around and finding our runner's lunge on the right side. So left hip open and long, right hip pressing back, heart is forward. Inhale, step that back foot in a little closer. Both legs coming towards straight, both heels down. Heart is forward in our pyramid pose. Inhale, we're going to pivot those back toes towards me. And we're going to take that left hand up to the sky. Spine is long here, so really draw that right hip back. Tucking that right hip in and making room for the heart to twist open. Softening into that left knee. Inhale, press it up. 5-pointed star. Toes are out, palms are out, shoulders are back, heart is open. Exhale as you bend elbows and knees. Tailbone towards the floor. Belly is in. Feet are pressing in so you feel all that energy lift you up and open. And then we'll inhale. Hands and feet coming together. Exhale it over to the right. Inhale through center. Exhale it to the left. Inhaling up. Exhale. Mountain pose. So we're going to come through one last time, and you can set your propping up, you can set your speed, you can set everything about this. This is the beauty of being in your own space, right? So allow yourself to really connect to that space. Really let yourself be fully present and fully you. As always, I'm just the guide, so do the things that feel best to you. If you're in your lunge and you're like, I want to go down in this lunge and stay here for a few breath rounds, do it. If you're like, I just want to feel that fluidness and I know the next pose and I want to flow right through it, do it. Just really feel with this practice as fully as you can. We'll find our mountain pose. Full connection, grounded to our earth, and ready to rotate through our cycle, through the changes, opening to receptive energies, reflective energies, finding that path. Inhale it up. Exhale it over. Inhale up. Exhale opposite side. Inhale up. Exhale, stepping out, bending into elbows and knees. We're finding that chalice. Inhale to lengthen. Big open starburst here. Exhale as you pivot over towards the left, finding that triangle. Inhaling here, exhaling to pivot towards your pyramid. Hips are back, heart is open. Inhale to step it back and find your lunge. Exhale as you rotate into your side squat. Inhale, hips lift through center, take that side squat to the other side. Inhale as you pivot around, finding that lunge on the opposite end. Inhale to step the back feet closer, roll the heart forward, pyramid on this side. Inhale, pivoting the back toes to the front and opening the heart, triangle pose. Exhale, soften into that knee. Inhale up, 5-pointed star. Exhale to chalice. Inhale, hands and feet together. Exhale it to the side. Inhaling up. Exhaling over. Inhaling up. Exhale, mountain pose. Inhale, bringing the hands to heart center. Exhale, bowing into yourself. Let's go ahead and inhale the hands up. Exhale, step it wide. Go ahead and find your propping, whichever stool, block, bench, whatever you prefer. We're going to go ahead and lower the hips and come into a nice supported squat here. And if you prefer, you can come into an unsupported squat. Feet can be as far apart or close together as work for you. Elbows coming into the thighs, really pressing and opening those hips. This is such a release for the emotional energy that we're all encountering every day. So important. Taking another 2 to 3 breaths, whether you're in a supported squat or a free squat, whatever you're in, taking those few more breath rounds to soften, to connect, to open. And when you're ready, placing your hands down, we'll lift the hips and come on down, finding our way to a comfortable seat. And we're going to come into our final resting pose. So if you want anything under your knees or your neck, however you want to come into this last piece of your practice, your Shavasana, maybe you have a wall space and you want to do a little legs up the wall. I think we will be doing some legs up the wall in one of the other practices that I put together. But you know, so many options. It's your space and it's your practice, and I can't even see what you're doing. If you want to get up and go get a drink or, you know, have Shavasana later, it's up to you. So if you want to find your way into a nice, comfortable resting pose, and just allow yourself, take the time to really set up into that posture. Maybe a traditional Savasana, just laying out nice and flat, really grounding yourself, coming back to the breath, back to your intention, that receptive, open, and relaxed space. Everybody take a nice breath in and a big sigh out. And allow yourself to let go of the breath, to come into whatever is your most comfortable, releasing and relaxing space. Letting the practice sink through you. Maybe this is the first practice you've had in a while. Maybe it's the first time you've been present with your breath in a little while. Or maybe you've been taking advantage of some of the wonderful online classes that so many studios have been sharing. Maybe this is your opportunity to
Connect to some of that moon energy. Starting to allow each part of the body to relax, from the toes through the ankles and knees, releasing the muscles of the legs, letting the hips sink heavy, belly soft, breath at ease, shoulders tucked back, the wrists and elbows weighting to the floor, allowing the jaw and the neck to soften as you swallow once and release the tongue from the roof of the mouth. Letting your eyes drop back into the sockets, taking the tension out of the corners of the eyes and the brow. And then allowing the tight clenching of the mind to release and the thoughts just drift away. Allow yourself to float here softly, staying present on the mat instead of wandering off with your thoughts. Just staying here, releasing into this space, letting everything wash through and sink into the ground. Starting to reconnect with your breath. Letting that light and energy drift in through the nose, the mouth, the throat. Feeling the heart open, the belly expand. Slowly feeling that energy moving its way through the body into the fingertips and toes. You start to gently waken the body. Stretching into the hands, wrists and ankles. Starting to move in any way that brings you back into this space. Gently caring for your body, moving in ways that attend to what you feel and what you need at this time. Gradually finding your way onto one side or the other, and gently, at your pace, pressing your way up, keeping the eyes closed as much as you can, allowing yourself to find your way back to a comfortable seat. When you're ready, bringing the hands palm to palm and fingertip to fingertip, in front of the heart center. Feeling the spine lengthen as you lift nice and tall. Pressing palms together, allow the shoulders to roll back. Opening that heart, opening the throat, and turning that third eye towards the sky slightly. And then softly lengthening the back of the neck, allowing the gaze to drop down towards the fingertips. I thank you all for this opportunity to share practice with you. I miss you so much. Can't wait till we're together again. I hope you're well and safe and cared for. Namaste.